Right, welcome to our fifth video on units. We've been looking at 11 plus exam questions or questions they could ask you in year 7 entrance to private school if you're looking for scholarship. These questions could also be used, for when you're in year 7 or 8 or even year 5 and 6. These kind of questions are the very questions they're going to ask you. So I would like you to pause the video and try question 21 and 22 quite quickly. Pause the video and try them now. Okay, hope you've tried that. Question 21 say Miss Conway visits her daughter who lives 270 kilometers away. She can travel 9 kilometers on half a liter of petrol. How many liters of petrol does she use to get to her daughter's house? Okay, the first thing you need to do is to underline this information first. Now, you've been told that if you have a half a liter, then you can do 90 kilometers. Okay, you can do 9 kilometers. So that's the first thing you need to understand. Now, what you could do is to think about here they're talking about 270. So we want to think about what are we gonna do with this 9 here to make it 270, because the distance is not 9, the distance is much more. It's basically 270. Now, so what I could do first of all is to think about how much I will need in terms of petrol for 27, just 27 kilometers, because I know that if I times 9 by 3, then that's going to be 27 kilometers. And if I times a half by 3, now remember half is 0.5. Yeah, remember half is 0.5. So you can just times that by 3. And if you do that, the answer is going to be 1.5. So if you have 1.5 or 1.5 liters, then you can do 27. Okay, so write that clearly. Got 1.5 liters would give us actually I should be putting arrows here, not equal. All right. So 1.5 liters can do 27 kilometers. But the person is not doing 27, is doing 10 times more. So he's doing 270. So if I is doing 10 times more, so 270 kilometers, he will need 10 times more of this. So he times this one by 10, and the answer is going to be 15 liters. Okay. So to do 270 kilometers, he will need 15 liters. How did you get that? Half a liter is 9 kilometers. If you times this one by 3, you would get 27. So make sure you times that by 3 as well, which gives 1.5. So 27 goes into 270 10 times. So you just times this one by 10. If you times the distance by 10, you got to times the amount of petrol by 10 as well. And that gives you 15 liters. Okay, so the answer is 15 liters. Okay, now question 22 says Caroline has 2 different types of stickers. Large stickers are 3 centimeters long and small ones are 0.5 millimeters long. Now stickers tend to be rectangle sometimes, so we're just going to assume that they are rectangle in the way that they're describing them. The smaller ones are 15 millimeters, and the bigger ones are 3. Okay, right. So this says Caroline places 400 small stickers and 250 large stickers end to end in a row. How long is the row of stickers in meters? Okay, the first thing you need to do is to find how long they are in centimeters first. Right, so if I got 400 of them and each one of them is 300, I need to times that to see how long they are if I put them tail to tail. So 3 centimeters, but there are 400 of them. That's going to be 1,200 centimeters. Okay, so that's the first one. That's this one's here. But we also got the smaller one, which is 15 millimeters. Now, 15 millimeters, what you could do is to remember that 1 centimeter is always 10 millimeters. Okay, so if you're changing from centimeters to millimeters, you are going forward to times by 10. But if you change it from millimeters back to centimeters, you divide by 10. So this was millimeters. I'm going back to centimeters. So I need to divide this one by 10. So I've got 15 and I'm dividing by 10. Okay. Now I told you that whole numbers normally have decimal point at the back. And if I divide it by 10, the decimal moves forward 1 step because it's 1 0 there. So the answer is going to be 1.5. And remember, we've changed that to centimeters. Okay. So the smaller ones are 1.5 centimeters, but they are how many? They're 250. Okay, so they are basically 250. So we want to see how long they are then. Now, Quick way to do this one will be to try and times, ignoring the decimal and ignoring the 0. Okay. So if you do 250 or 25, we're just going to times it by 15 quickly. Then we're just going to put the decimal point back. Okay. Now 5 times 5 is 25. You carry 2. Then 5 times 2 is 10 plus the 2 is 12. That is there. So we've times by 5. 25 times 5 is 125. Now you're going to times by this one. This one is a 10, so you put 0 there as placeholder to start with. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2. And if you add them, I've got 5 there, I've got 7 there, and I've got 3 there. Okay, so that's the answer to that. Now, what we need to do is now to think about it. We need to think about where the decimal point is going to be. This is 1.5. If you're doing 1.5, if I ignore the 0.5 and just think about 1 times 250, the answer is going to be 250. The answer is going to be 100. Now, if I times 250 by 2, the answer is going to be 500. Right? So let's just go to that. So 1 times 250 is 250. But if I do 2 times by 250, the answer is going to be 500. But you see 1.5 is in between them. So the answer I'm getting should also be between 250 and 500. So the answer I'm getting here, which is 375, fits nicely there. I will not say it's 37.5 because that doesn't fit there. 3.75 also will not fit. So 375 is the answer that you get when you do 1.5 times by 250. So if you're struggling to put the decimal place, you can argue like that. Okay. So 1 times by 250 is 250. But if you go to 2, which is above that, you get 500. So your answer must be in between because 1.5 is in between 1 and 2. So your answer would be 100. So we got 375 centimeters. Okay. Now, the next thing now to do is to add them up because you are joining them up in the queue, so to make a long line. So you're just basically going to add them up. So let's add them up together. So I've got 5 there, and I've got 0 plus 7 is 7, 2 plus 3 is 5, and 1 plus nothing is basically 1,500 centimeters. So that is how long they are if you put them in one line. But you see, they're asking us in meters. Remember, 1 meter we said was 1,000 centimeters, was 100 centimeters. So 1 meter is 100 centimeters. If you're changing centimeters back to meters, you divide by 100. So we will need to divide 1575 by 100. Okay. Now, if I divide it by 100, the decimal point is always here, and all you need to do is to move it 2 steps back. So the answer is going to be 15.75 meters. So 15.75 meters if you put them together. Okay. Right. So that's that. So if you just want to pause your work and you just mark your answer, please. Pause your work and just mark your answer. But I've just noticed something in the answer. I've just noticed something there that they're explaining here. The mistake I've done here is to times 15 by 250 rather than 15 by 400. That's a mistake I've done that. Because I was wondering why they would give you that kind of a question in the test. So what I would say is that make sure you just read the answers with the questions very, very carefully. So always read the question twice to make sure that you're doing the right thing. Okay, so what they've just, if you look at the mark scheme, they've just done that for you. So you do 1.5, you times that by 400. And then for the 3, you times that by 250. Okay, so which is 250 times by 3 is 750. 400 times by 1.5 is 600. If you add them, the answer is 1350 centimeters. But you got to divide it by 100 to give it 13.5. So that would be the correct answer. Sorry about that. Okay. So that's going to be the end for this part. So I'm just going to stop here. And I might come back to this question later in the second video. Because if I carry on, what's going to happen is that the video won't allow me with the limits that I have. Okay, so that's going to be the end for this.